Today, we're diving into the story of the painted prison of Port Zarford. And yeah, it is every bit as wild as it sounds. Imagine you're on a rescue mission, right? But the prison isn't made of stone and iron bars. Nope, it's made of paint. And the guards? They're literally living, breathing artwork.
So we're dropping right into the middle of the action here, in the coastal city of Port Zarford. A team of heroes is finally tracked down their missing friends. But the place they find them, well, it defies all logic. It's not some dark, dingy dungeon. It's an art gallery.
And this is the bizarre reality they're staring at. Their friend, a tough dwarven paladin named Welsis, isn't just captured. He's been turned into a work of art. His rage, his soul, everything is trapped inside this painting. Can you even imagine that? Seeing your ally, alive and absolutely furious, but completely helpless behind a layer of oil and paint?
So, you're probably asking, how in the world do you break someone out of a painting? Well, the answer is just pure, weird magic. You touch the frame with soot, and the whole surface ripples like water. Then you literally have to plunge your arm through the canvas, grab your friend, and just pull. And check out this final step. Welsis doesn't just pop out. He spills onto the floor as a puddle of living paint before, poof, reforming back into a very angry dwarf. I mean, that's a rescue you're not going to forget.
A prison made of paint is strange for sure, but it's really just one piece of a much bigger, much more terrifying puzzle. To get why any of this is happening, we've got to rewind. We need to go back to the beginning, to a cosmic conspiracy that's threatening to unravel the entire world.
See, these heroes aren't just your average adventurers. They're survivors. They're some of the only people who made it out of the destruction of a city called Duskmere, which was basically the opening shot of the coming apocalypse. That event, it marked them. It imbued them with strange magic and tied their fate to a prophecy they believed was their one and only hope to save everyone.
But here's the horrifying twist they uncovered. The prophecy wasn't a path to salvation, it was a lie, a trap. They believed a willing sacrifice would seal away this powerful demon, Gormak. But the truth is the exact opposite. That same sacrifice is actually the key that will unleash him upon the world. The entire prophecy was engineered from the start to bring about the apocalypse.
And of course, Gormak isn't working alone. He has generals all over the world, paving the way for his return. And we're not talking about simple soldiers. These are masterminds. You've got the eye, his all-seeing spy master, the fingers, his manipulators pulling strings behind the scenes, the mouth, whispering corruption from the frozen north, and then you have the hands, his enforcers, which brings us right back to Port Zarford.
You know, finding out the prophecy is a lie, that changes everything. Suddenly, every battle isn't just about survival. It's about actively fighting against a grand cosmic deception. And that weight, that realization, is hanging over them as they start their most personal quest yet, the one that leads them to Port Zarford.
The call to action was sudden. They were exploring the ruins of Duskmere when a magical rift just tore open in the air, and through it they heard these desperate, ghostly voices, the voices of their friends Howl and Jebediah, crying for help from the other side of a demonic portal.
The objective became brutally simple: get to Port Zarford and get their friends out. But they knew this was way more than just a rescue. This was a direct strike against the very people orchestrating the end of the world.
Getting there was anything but easy. They had to hire a smuggler to open this janky, unstable portal that only had a 30-second window to get through. The magic was so volatile it buckled, and instead of arriving together, the team was scattered all across the city. Welsis almost materialized in the middle of the sea in full plate armor. That's a death sentence. Their mission was compromised before it even really began.
And that brings us right back to where we started. The team has managed to regroup, track their friends to this bizarre gallery, and the rescue has exploded into an all-out fight. And they're not just facing some random guard, they're up against one of Gormak's chosen agents.
And it wasn't just Welch's. The entire cellar was a gruesome gallery of their captured friends. Howl, Jebediah, Tucker, Zora, all of them, trapped, silent, just staring out from their own painted prisons. This wasn't random. It was a systematic roundup of anyone connected to that fake prophecy.
The person behind all this is a cultist who calls himself the Artist. And he doesn't fight with swords or fireballs. Oh no. He waves a wand that acts like a paintbrush, summoning these monstrous creatures made of living, aggressive paint.
The battle is just absolute chaos. A massive bear made of paint materializes to attack them. A giant spider literally leaps out of a wall tapestry to join the fray. To fight this dark magic, the party's warlock, Atmos, actually summons a demon of his own, not to attack the heroes, but to fight on their side. It's this completely surreal three-way brawl in a cellar full of magical art.
Now Welsies, fresh from his painted prison, is consumed by holy rage. He channels all of it into a single divine smite that lands with devastating force, dealing a staggering 110 points of damage. That's a pretty clear message. Turning a paladin into art does not dampen his fury.
Seeing the tide turn, the artist makes a desperate move. He uses his magic not on the heroes, but on the environment itself. The stone floor dissolves into ink, and the entire party plunges through it into another dimension, a swirling, abstract world of bright, raw color. They are now fighting inside one of his creations.
They manage to fight their way back to the cellar, only to find the battle has evolved. The remaining paint in the room coalesces into a new colossal threat. This is no longer just the artist. They are now facing one of Gormak's true generals, one of the hands of the apocalypse.
The fight is a brutal slog, pushing the heroes to their absolute limit. But once again, it's Welsies who ends it. He channels the last of his divine energy into one final massive strike, dealing 108 damage and dissolving the hand of Gormak for good.
They did it. Their friends are free, and one of the demon's top generals is dead. But this victory, it wasn't the end of a war. It was the beginning of one.
In the aftermath, they gather up the spoils, the artist's magical wand, a small fortune in gold, and a mysterious ring. But the true prize for their victory wasn't something they could just carry in their pockets.
As the dust settles, a psychic message echoes directly into their minds. It's a cold, clear threat, likely from an even higher power in Gormak's army, maybe even the one called the Watcher. And it's a promise. This is just the beginning.
So ultimately, they succeeded. Their friends are safe, and they've dealt a major blow to the forces of the apocalypse. But this whole thing raises a terrifying question. Had they just graduated from being pawns in a prophecy to being priority targets on a demon's kill list? They escaped the painted prison, only to find themselves in a much larger, more dangerous cage.